All right, so I'll get you started with that. All right, first core principle in pickup. Anybody who's been in the pickup community since like 1999, 2000 will know this one. How many people have heard the phrase, attraction's not a choice? You heard that? Okay, absolutely a critical fundamental of pickup. When I was growing up, I always thought that attraction was this resume thing, right? I thought if I was, the kid that got the good grades, was the good athlete, dressed the right way, that kind of stuff, girls would inherently like me. And it kind of worked with some girls that were far away and didn't know me, but any girl that did know me actually knew that I was this insecure, scared boy who didn't know how to address girls, and so I didn't really have a lot of success. I didn't really have any girlfriends. Other door, thanks. And so I didn't really get a lot of results, okay? And what I was thinking is that attraction was some logical thing that girls did. Like they decided to like some guy, decided not to like some other guy. And that's not at all how it works. It is completely emotional, right? It is not a choice for women. Now, whether a girl will actually sleep with a guy is a choice. Whether a girl will get into a relationship with a guy is a choice, but whether she's attracted to him, absolutely not a choice. She can't choose what makes her feel butterflies, can't choose what makes her get wet, that kind of stuff. That just happens, okay? So what I'm gonna talk to you about today a lot is exactly what are those characteristics that create attraction, those sort of subconscious things that do it to them. And understand when you're trying to think about attraction, it is not logical today, okay? The things that attract women to men are not the things that make sense today. If it made sense today, it'd be like, I have a high IQ and I'm good at a computer. I have good survival skills for the 21st century. But usually the type of guys you see girls with are not necessarily like that guy. They're more with the type of guys that would have done well with girls back in the environment in which we evolved, sorry. Back in the time when we had we had to fight off animals and, stay alive day to day, okay? So understand everything from that perspective. That's what we're get into next is evolutionary psychology and exactly what are those survivable traits and what makes someone fit in that environment, both in terms of survival and also more importantly in terms of reproduction. Because most of evolution has not actually been evolution to survive so much as evolution to beat out other human beings. It's not natural selection, it's sexual selection. So we'll talk about that as well. However, even though the triggers for attraction don't make sense today, because they make sense in that evolutionary environment, if we understand that environment, those triggers are predictable today. And so I'm going to show you guys exactly how to predict what type of guys girls would go for. You'll understand why it is that when certain girls liked you, what it was that triggered that. When other girls didn't like you, what it was you were doing that were maybe repelling them or at least not triggering those attraction switches. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about that. And then finally, because attraction is based on these particular switches, it's not necessarily that you have to be the tallest guy or the richest guy or the best looking guy or anything, that kind of stuff. All right, you can be those things and not trigger those switches, or you can be like a nerdy, dorky guy and trigger all those switches, right? It very much is specific things that you're doing which are creating attraction. So a big fundamental of pickup, and one of the big reasons why the pickup community exists or existed at all, is that anybody can do these things, right? Any single person can adopt the proper behaviors and women will respond to that. Because as men, we'll get into this a little bit when we get into the evolutionary stuff, but as men, we're responding to women's appearance. Because women's appearance is the fundamental characteristic that's going to lead to healthy offspring, right? If a woman is healthy and can have a healthy baby and you're a man who can provide for her, you're probably going to get kids into the next generation. However, for men, our appearance in an evolutionary setting is far less important than our ability to provide food, to protect her from other threats and other men and that kind of stuff. Those kind of things, or even character traits like loyalty and willingness to stay with her and take care of her. Those are actually far more important in terms of her baby's survival than appearance is, okay? And anything beyond that, things like money. Money's a construct of the 21st century, so that didn't even exist in the evolutionary environment, right? Things like that. So what we're looking at again is the core of what is attraction, okay? And in order to do that, we're gonna go back to that evolutionary environment, and then we're going to kind of telescope forward and implement it in little bits day by day.